Heidi ho. So let's talk about I don't know what is this, part 3 or part 4 or whatever I'm talking about. But let's talk about meaning for a second. Meaning. There's all kinds of meaning in everything that we say, and sometimes the meaning makes absolutely no sense. Don't mind me while I eat my dinner. For example, if I were to say, "How do you keep a fish from smelling?" What would the answer be? Any idea? Okay. There's several ideas, right? You can cook it as soon as you catch it. You could freeze it. You could wrap it in paper. You could keep the cat around. You could burn incense. You could leave it in the water, or you could cut its nose off. These are all options on how to keep the fish from smelling. But in our language, what we have to do is make a whole bunch of assumptions about what's said in order to get different ideas, different possibilities, and to break our patterns and realize there's more than one right answer. And that's all in metaphors. So if I were to ask you to describe the meaning of life using a metaphor, what would you do? How would you describe it? Give it a second, and then you'll know. Meaning of life is like a, that's a simile or a metaphor, perfectly fine as well. For example, let me get you started. Life is like a banana. You start out green and get soft and mushy with age. People want to be one of a bunch, while others want to be the top banana. You have to take care not to slip on the externals, and finally, have to strip off the outer coating to get to the meat. How about that? Life is like cooking. It all depends on what you add and how you mix it. Sometimes you have to follow the recipe, and sometimes you just mix on your own. Get creative. Life is like a jigsaw puzzle, but you don't have the picture on the front of the box, and you don't know what it's supposed to look like. Sometimes you're not even sure if you have all the pieces. Life is like a maze to which you try to never find the exit. Life is like a puppy dog, always searching full of streets of fire hydrants, maybe. And then maybe life is like a bunch of open doors that close as you get older. I don't know. I don't know. The point is we learn via metaphors. It's the only way we learn. Well, it's not the only way, but it sure is the top way. You know, it's kind of like that old thing, like how does salt taste? Well, nobody can really say how salt tastes, but you can use a metaphor to describe how salt tastes so that people can gain meaning. This is critical in learning. This is critical when it comes down to creative thinking and change. Using metaphors to describe things. You have to use the right metaphor for people to understand, and people use different metaphors in different ways. Banking and money is one of them. Money goes in a bank, but a bank is the side of a river. I don't know where that one came from. You can have liquid money. You know, you can have cold hard cash. You can have all these kinds of things, but it's all about describing money, and it's pretty interesting how it all comes together to help us understand what we mean about money. It happens in everything. If you use it more often, not only will you feel more creative and more intelligent, but you'll be able to relate to people differently. Don't use metaphors that make sense to you, use metaphors that make sense to them. And that's a solid lesson in life, and something that's going to help you in the long term with change.